You tell me when. Okay. All right. Welcome to the Village Board meeting for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. It's 6:03 p.m. We're here in the Village Hall Boardroom. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Trustee Benoski, would you read the land acknowledgement, please?
Sure. Before we begin this evening, we would like to recognize the Seneca Nation, on whose ancestral territory we are gathering. The present-day village of Fairport sits on traditional Seneca land. The Seneca Nation, with the Mohawk, Cayuga, Onondaga, Oneida, and Tuscarora, make up the sovereign Haudenosaunee Confederacy. With respect, we acknowledge the people of the Seneca Nation on whose land we now live. We honor their past, present, and future contributions to and stewardship of this land.
Thank you. I'm just going to remind everybody up here to make sure that your microphone is close enough to you when you talk so that everything gets picked up when you're online. So with that, Megan, would you take roll call, please?
Trustee Wojka?
Here.
Trustee Benoski?
Happy Earth Day.
Trustee Mishler?
Here.
Trustee Briggs?
Here.
Mayor Domeratz?
Here. Okay, and that will take us to Citizens Forum, which I will open at 6:04, and I'm just going to go through the guidelines for public comment. The public may speak during the meeting. Citizens Forum, speakers will be recognized by the presiding officer. Speakers must step up to the podium here, and we'll make sure that the microphone is turned on. Remarks should be limited to 5 minutes. Speakers may not yield remaining time that they have to another speaker. And remarks should be addressed to the board as a body and not the individual board members. Speakers will observe the commonly accepted rules of courtesy, decorum, dignity, and good taste. Interested parties or their representatives may address the board by written communications, and disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. If there's anybody here who has not signed up and would like to speak this evening, please head over to Megan. She has the list right there. Is it Luke? And that's it for right now? Okay, so we'll call up our first speaker. Luke, please come on up. And while we all know who you are, please state your name and your address.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Luke Wells. I live at 9 4th Avenue, Fairport, New York. I'm a 25-year resident of the village of Fairport and a member of Color Fairport Green. As you didn't know, Color Fairport Green is a grassroots, not-for-profit working toward a sustainable future in the village of Fairport, the town of Perrington, and surrounding communities. I would like the village board to publicly vote on creating a permanent sustainability board for the village of Fairport as proposed by the Sustainability Committee in October of 2024, 6 whole months ago. Why? Because everything the village board does affects the earth. You replace sidewalks using gas backhoes, approve events which create solid waste and air pollution with all the vehicles that attend the events. You own buildings which require heat, air conditioning, and lighting. You use gas-powered dump trucks and gas-powered backhoes to pick up our lawn debris, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now with a permanent sustainability board, you have the opportunity to incorporate environmental concerns to reduce the negative effects of current activities and all your future projects. So please, review the recommendations that the Sustainability Committee submitted last October, and please vote to create a permanent sustainability board. This is not a political issue. It's not a put the sustainability plan on the shelf and let it create dust issue. It's not a kick the can down the road issue. We all have a moral obligation to protect the earth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luke. We really appreciate that comment. And just to let anyone who might hear this or who is viewing this later, we will be, as a board, reviewing that sustainability plan that was submitted and the updates to our previous sustainability plan a little bit later this year. It has not been forgotten. We'll be working on it mid-year or so. So it's not been forgotten, and it's part of what we do. So I really want to thank you for coming in and sharing those comments, Luke. We appreciate it. With that, anybody else who is looking at the last moment to sign up and speak? Okay, then I will close Citizens Forum at 6:08, and we'll start to move on to our regular agenda. Okay, so first up is unfinished business, and I'd like to ask for a motion by the village board to approve the meeting minutes from February 3rd, 2025, the village board work session. Can I have a motion
So moved.
by trustee Benoski?
Second, trustee Mishler.
Great. Any questions?
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That's me. And that will be carrying with 4 yes and 1 abstention. Taking us to number 2, which is a motion by the village board to approve the meeting minutes of February 24th, 2025, village board work session.
So moved. Trustee Waika?
Second, trustee Briggs.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That will be unanimous. Item number 3 is a motion by the village board to approve the meeting minutes for March 10th, 2025 village board meeting.
So moved.
By trustee Benoski,
Second.
by trustee Mishler. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That'll be a unanimous yes. Item number 4 is a motion by the village board to approve the meeting minutes from March 24th, 2025, village board proposed budget presentation.
So moved.
By trustee Mishler,
Second.
by trustee Benoski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. Item number 5 is a motion by the village board to approve the meeting minutes of March 26th, 2025, the village board proposed budget meeting number 1.
So moved.
By trustee Benoski,
Second.
by trustee Wojka. Any questions?
Megan's been busy writing the minutes.
We do congratulate you on having all these meeting minutes.
Thank you,
It's a challenge. With no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. That was the March 26th, right, Megan? Okay.
It was like
I
after
don't-
budget was done or sort of done.
Yeah.
You could start to breathe and do minutes again. Yeah.
Item number 6, a motion by the village board to approve the minutes of the March 31st, 2025 village board proposed budget meeting number 2.
So moved.
By trustee Benoski,
Second.
by trustee Wojka. Any questions? All in favor? Wait. Go ahead.
I have a question,
Sure.
probably for John. And it's been brought up to me by a couple residents, and open meeting law is not super clear to me. So I know the mayor participated virtually for that meeting, and the dress was posted. But I guess, as I understand open meeting law, it is for extraordinary circumstances only that you're allowed to participate, like unusual, unexpected.
So I did confer with the village manager in advance of the meetings where the mayor was going to participate remotely. So there's actually two separate rules. So the extraordinary circumstances provisions that we adopted, and this is dating back about a year or so at this point, I think, those new provisions in the open meetings law were actually supplementing what already existed. So there was a mechanism under the old regime to do remote meetings. It's not used very frequently. You have to notice a physical space where every person is present. So in working with the village manager, we ensured that for the meetings where the mayor would be remote, that they would be noticed pursuant to the old rule.
And it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be extraordinary circumstances.
Because I think
in
that
instance.
provision was an extension and in a sense expired.
I believe it expires at the end of this year. I'll check the sunsetting date for the extraordinary piece, but that wasn't what we utilized to notice the meeting for the mayor's remote participation. So for purposes of the minute adoptions, that these are you can approve them as proposed, notwithstanding the mayor's participation remotely. And I'm happy to talk offline further to kind of walk through the legalities of sort of what we had done with noticing those meetings.
John, can I just ask a further question?
Yes.
Can you review the recording of those? So if we have I know that it's not necessary to record a typical meeting like this. We just need to obviously have someone taking notes.
Correct.
However, is it different when we have video conferencing going on than is a recording necessary by law if video conferencing is taking place?
I can, so with respect to the mayor's participation, or just generally speaking for any of the meetings where we're
So I'm
having
just
this-
curious if, because we now have, the mayor was,
Yeah.
she was participating just remotely. So does that then change the recording of our meeting? Do we need to record it,
I can look
using
into that.
technology
Yeah. I don't know off the top of my head. I can look into that and get
I'm
back
just
to you.
curious. One of our meetings was recorded,
The first one.
the first one. And then the second one was we recorded using minutes, and I just want to make sure for, future reference. Were
Okay.
both of these done lawfully?
Okay, I will check that.
Okay.
One more
And-
thing for you to check.
And I can abstain if anybody is concerned about the viability of.
It's
Yeah.
more or less just trying as a layperson, read through the law and try to understand it.
Yeah, and with all the amendments that were made over a period of years, it can get there's certainly some provisions that are a little bit convoluted within those subsections, but I can put together something to just break down what I'm explaining in the meeting. I can give you sort of a summary of what we were doing.
Because, and I think the other confusing piece was sometimes we voted and sometimes we didn't in those meetings.
Okay.
So it was confusing. Could we vote or could we not vote in those meetings?
So the 26th, which is the one that's recorded,
Yeah.
there was no voting in it. It was only on the April 6th
Right.
that there was voting. Or 8th, I'm sorry, 8th.
And John, one last thing since you're going to be researching in the library for us. When I read open meeting law, it's like if you do teleconferencing or virtual participation, not just listening, but actual participation, then does the residents have that same option that if we're participating, not just viewing, then residents have an option to participate as well? It's kind of like a tit for tat if someone is participating.
So, well, depending on extraordinary circumstances, there's a whole set of parameters associated with how we use remote viewing of the meeting and whether they can essentially physically observe you in a virtual setting. So as if they were sitting physically present in the room,
Right.
but they're doing it remotely, they can hear and see and hear votes and everything of that sort. But the open meetings law as a general proposition is not designed for participation of the public, it's designed for the viewing of the public. So it's not meant for interactive participation by the public. That's not what the statute's designed to do. But as we've evolved from a technological perspective and as amendments have been made, they're trying to obviously allow for more of the facilitation of viewing of meetings so that people can view them remotely if we utilize teleconferencing or video conferencing methodology.
And
But,
that,
yeah.
that aligns with the actual practice of holding a meeting. It's the observation of the village board
Correct.
conducting work.
Correct, because at its core, we don't need to do anything virtually. We don't need to actually broadcast the meeting in any way, shape, or form. We can stop using all of these methods and simply have a physical meeting
Yeah.
in this boardroom
That
where
makes
people either come to observe or they're in there, and that is it.
And I guess
and
that's
some boards
just-
still do it that way because they don't have the technological means or the budgeting to do it.
And I think too, because residents of the village are also residents of Parrington, and I think some of the confusion is because Parrington allows for remote participation. you
And
know,
some
and
boards,
so-
yeah, some do allow the Zoom or whatever platform they're utilizing to allow people to provide public forum comments remotely. There are some municipalities that do that, but that is entirely optional and probably the minority. I would say not. I would say maybe 1 out of 4 probably do it that way.
Hence the confusion and questions
Yeah,
from our
it's not
constituents.
uniform. It's not uniform at all,
There's a lot of layers.
municipality by municipality. I will say that. Not at all.
Well, thank you for the research and maybe a little refresher workshop for us.
Do you want me to abstain?
It's up to you entirely. There's probably enough of a quorum to probably pass it. So if you want to abstain in your discretion, I leave that to you.
And in both meetings, there were quorums, so there wasn't
Yeah.
an issue of,
So there would be no issue.
it was just procedural, how to procedurally moving forward. Are we doing things correctly?
Yep. I can clarify that for the board. You do not need to abstain if you do not wish to do so because you were present and you understand if the minutes are accurate or not, so you can vote.
Okay. All right, so with that,
Thank you.
we had gotten the motion and the second. All in favor of approving the minutes for March 31st?
Aye.
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 Anyone against? Anyone abstaining? That will be unanimous. And then item number 7 is a motion by the village board to approve the meeting minutes of April 8th, 2025, village board special meeting.
So moved.
By trustee Mishler,
Second?
by trustee Wojka. Any questions?
I just kind of want to piggyback on what we already started. Since we were all there and we could have recorded the meeting, somebody refresh my memory when that decision was made by us to not record that meeting. Because he was here, we were all here, I know, I'm understanding we don't have to, but I wondered,
I don't think that there was anybody here.
Yeah, the last meeting, we just didn't have anybody present to do it.
There wasn't a tech person here for that night.
weren't you here?
Not the last
No,
meeting.
he wasn't
No.
here the 8th.
I zoomed onto Brian's.
Right.
Remember, he had his laptop here at
Right.
the desk.
That was the piece I missed. It was like, just refresh my memory. Why wasn't
No,
that?
these are great questions, and as we were talking about, we've been talking about maybe updating this room and doing some things, make sure the technology's there. We're gonna make sure that we have the capacity, should you guys ever wanna have a public participation via Zoom platform, or whatever the platform we elect to use, that you have that capability to do that should you want to
Yeah.
pursue it.
And I mean, again, just the question came up, if we have a member of the board who's participating remotely, does that change legally what we need to do in terms of recording? I just don't know the answer. So moving forward, we should know that.
And I conferred with John before
Yeah, I
we
know.
did
And I saw
any of that
I
too,
saw that
so-
the address was posted, and I appreciate you
Sure,
taking time from your vacation and doing all that.
not a big deal.
Yeah, just procedurally.
Okay, so I need to take a vote on that last item, which is number 7. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That will carry unanimously as well, which takes us on to new business. Item number 1 is a motion to approve the Fairport Music Festival event Friday, August 22nd, 2025, from 5 p.m. until 10 p.m., and on Saturday, August 23rd, 2025, from noon until 10 p.m., subject to final approval by the village manager. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
By trustee Briggs,
So second.
by trustee Mishler. Discussion. So was the plan to have someone talk about Music Festival, or?
Daryl from the Music Festival's here. Should the board have any questions, or if you'd like them to speak to about the festival in general?
I was walking in with Daryl, and Daryl had mentioned to me that he was here a bit earlier than usual, which is nice to give us kind of a extra leeway time leading up to this. I think more or less for insurance purposes, right?
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Once we get an approval, it kind of
Daryl, why don't, please
Come on
come
up,
up to the
Daryl.
Oh,
microphone?
yeah.
Because nobody who sees this or listens to it can hear you.
nobody wants to see me anyway. No, we wanted to get an early jump on this with the hope that our insurance company would also get an early jump on stuff, which allows us to apply for not only all of the permits and licensing that we need, but also some grants from the county. Our hope, again, is that after being approved, we'll have another successful, our 21st annual music festival. And with the revenue that we expect to generate from a historical standpoint, it'll push our contribution to Golisano Children's Hospital to over $3 million over that 21-year period.
Terrific.
It's amazing.
Thank you, I had help.
One of these days I'm gonna sit in that seat, Tracy, so that I can look one way and see everybody. I'm looking to the right. Does anybody have any questions for Daryl, Adam, Heidi?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything, everything is pretty much as done before, right? No,
Really boilerplate stuff for you
Yeah.
guys to consider, and we're fortunate enough to work with Brian and his staff, as well as the Village Police Department and a bunch of the merchants to ensure that the event goes off as successfully as it has for the last 20 years.
I will ask the same thing that I ask of every event when they come in and talk to us. Please make sure that the people who live on Liftbridge Lane East have access to their properties without being stopped by armed guards who say, you can't go there.
There will be nothing, again, last year, the police department helped us out with some additional barriers. Those are not set up on the east side of Liftbridge before the entrance to the Box Factory parking lot.
Okay.
So access will be granted via Parker Street.
Okay, that's terrific. Thank you. I'm looking at this end.
Thank you. I read through all of your all of the paperwork and information you sent to the board. I don't have a specific question about Music Fest, but maybe a question to the board as to where are we on the festival permit thing? I mean, we talked about a new whole permit. Application and all of that. Does not relate to.
Yeah, we can use the application for that. We haven't settled on any type of fees or anything that the board's authorized, but we just haven't issued it yet to any of the applicants. We can start doing that.
Well, that's why I need to refresh. I have like old person
Sure.
head. I thought it was kind of like, we're going to collect data this year as it goes to that. Our festivals are going on, we have the process, but we're not actually using our new template yet because it's not fleshed out.
I mean, the general data that it's going to collect, I think, is there. We can use that at any time. As far as anything we want to do, any extra of that, I think we can hold off on.
Perfect.
So we'll start pushing that out for people that want to do events and things here.
Okay.
Yeah?
Do you need any action by the board to start moving forward
No,
with that?
no, I think we're good.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Is
with
everybody
Main
okay
Street
with that?
project beginning on the north side, that end of the street will be, right? That.
Music Fest is
Yeah, Music Fest is going
Down
to
there.
stays with Lippert Lane East and so forth,
Well, right.
and that parameter.
But the north side of Main Street will, the construction project will be, right? They've started it now.
Correct.
So they'll be moving to the south side by the time Music Fest is happening.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be easier, I believe, for Music Fest goers to move in and out.
Sure.
Shuttle bus.
And this was intentional, like this was not accidental, that this was planned, so this way.
Yeah, we tried to get them to start on the north side first, just to hopefully try to avoid some of the Canal Days festival that's going to be happening and so forth. The contractor's moving very, very quickly, so I'm hoping that they can still stay on that north side prior to Canal Days happening. I mean, they're not going to stop working for a couple of weeks. We're a little concerned about that. We're going to chat with them tomorrow about that in a meeting, because the entire west side of the north side of the village, you know, from Deland Parkway to the railroad track is already ripped up, and they're really, really moving quickly. So we'll try to get some more confirmation on where their progress is going to be at and what's going on.
That's great. It was great
Yep.
planning.
Any more questions about Music Fest?
We love the Music Fest.
I love Music Fest. Volunteer there, it is just awesome.
We're happy to have you. We look forward to this weekend year-round, and it has been through the collaborative work with the village, with all of the entities that I mentioned, and the businesses that allow us to really be heroes for the kids at Golisano Children's Hospital. So thank you again for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for being here to discuss this. And we won't make you stand up there any longer, and
Appreciate
we'll
that.
take a vote.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for being here.
Daryl, Mr. McDermott got a night off. He's been here the last few years, right?
He's been here for about 20, actually, I think. So, yeah, we'll kind of, he's emeritus now, is what
Okay.
he says, so.
I gotcha. We'll be looking for ticket sales soon.
Okay, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That will be unanimous, and it'll take us to item number 2, which is a motion by the village board to authorize the 2025 Canal Days Festival in the Village of Fairport on Friday, June 6th, 2025 through Sunday, June 8th, 2025, subject to final approval by the village manager. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
By trustee Mishler, second by trustee Banowski. And I started on this side last time, so I'm going this way. Any questions or comments at this end of the?
No, just, it's going on as planned, and many of us are just coming from the merchants meeting and an update that they got very creative with space. So it's actually, the festival is going to be the same size, even though they're working it right into just the south, which will be great. And so there'll be just as many merchants, just as many vendors, just as many artisans, and we'll even have the kid zone right in the Hannah parking lot. So that's a real community effort of everybody coming together and just making this happen. So it should be same big festival, just a little crowded. No, I'm saying, but I think they did a great job organizing everything to make it.
Some really good problem solving.
Yes, they did.
Do you have any questions? Okay. At this end, Heidi Adam, any questions?
I'm looking through, do we, just some of the details. I know as you've been working them out, is it sort of some of the same?
Nancy, are you here to represent, or? Okay. If you could please come, if you could please come up to the microphone so that if you have a conversation that people can hear you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Sure,
We're happy to have you here this evening, Nancy Regis.
thank you. What was your question?
Well, are we looking at sort of the same start times
Yes.
and those sorts of things as before? Okay.
Exactly. Starts on Saturday morning the roads will close at 9, the festival starts at 10. It closes the evening on Saturday at 6, and then opens Sunday morning at, same thing, road closes at 9 in the morning, 10 o'clock open, closes at 5.
Okay. So I don't know if maybe I'm missing, I know with the Music Fest, we had some stuff here. I don't know if maybe it's, am I missing it?
I didn't see a packet proposal from Canal Days official.
Gotcha, okay.
But we can ask.
No, it's fine. Well, I mean, if we're going through the process of the application, you guys work together anyway.
Sure.
To iron that stuff out. So I assume that's,
Yeah, and typically, Village Manager White will hold a group meeting with all the involved parties. So the information will,
I apologize. I thought there was a packet like the general one we always have that kind of lists out some of the basic stuff.
yeah, that's
Sure.
just kind of like
Yeah.
I'm
so Friday night chicken barbecue, just as we always do. We've got Atlas is going to be the band, and they're awesome. They were here last year. Couple of pre-bands ahead of time. And then the poster winner artist will be there signing her posters. Sunday, the same sort of thing. Saturday. Saturday night, we'll also have the Canal Nights with the Sky Coasters are going to be performing. There'll be a couple of smaller bands ahead of that, but that's our big draw for this year. And all the food vendors will be open that evening, so.
And
Yeah.
what annual are we up to?
Oh, That's a good question.
45, 46, 47,
We're-
48?
I think we're either 49, 48, 49.
It's pretty close because I remember Canal Days happening when I was
Yep,
Yeah, oh, yeah, as a
a
child.
youngster.
junior, sophomore,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. That tells you how old I am. Old.
No,
Is
it's
there-
been around a long time, and what's exciting this year is that the bicentennial is happening. So
Yeah.
we have the Canal Corporation will be present, and so will Canal New York, and there'll be just a lot more attention given to the bicentennial that's happening. So we're excited to have this opportunity, in our backyard.
I will just jump in the middle here. I will ask you to carry along the message. The same message that I asked for Music Festival is to please make sure that people on Lethbridge Lane East have access to their homes, that they can
Absolutely.
take their dog for a walk, and nobody yells at them, because every year I get to hear them yelling. And
Absolutely. We have a great security team that are aware of your
Yeah.
points, and they're going to work to make sure that doesn't.
I ask this same
Yep.
question every single year just to keep bringing it up and make sure that people are aware that
Yeah.
those folks often feel kind of
Yeah.
shunned.
Well, we love our neighbors who help support, all the activities that support the community. So we're grateful
Sure.
for their understanding.
Any further questions or comments? It's exciting that
Yeah.
this is still going on after so many years.
I know.
And it's great that the Canal Corporation is going to be here this year.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have them back involved, and we're excited to host them. So make sure anybody who's here stops by their booth, and there's a lot of good information that they'll be sharing. And this weekend, this Friday, there's a meeting in Canandaigua that we'll be attending, and we'll come back with more canal information. So watch our newsletters. And
Thank
if you
you.
haven't signed up for our newsletter, please do.
I know,
Please, so I heard that when I was at the FPMA meeting with Tracy.
Sure.
Please give that,
So the Fairport Parrington Partnership, we have a Facebook page, of course, social media. I'll send it out if you want to put it in, that would be great. But if you go to our website, fairportpartnership.org, you can sign up for our newsletter, and that keeps you informed of a lot of the activities that we're working on. So
there, I gave you your plug.
thank you very much.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate it. All right, if that's it.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else?
Just the volunteer base, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
have an incredible volunteer base to pull this all off.
Well, that's
so.
what makes Fairport such an amazing community, because we have a sign-up genius form that anybody who says, hey, I'd love to help out, but I don't know, how do I do it? So they'll put their name on our list, and everybody is welcome to join it. And we send out emails that will say, hey, this is happening. What would you like to sign up for? So if they'd like to just do a one-off once a year, or if they want to be involved on everything, they have the choice and a full description, and they can just sign up. So we're grateful to this community because, some of the people are so much fun because they're like, I'm sorry, I'm Saturday night at 6 till 8, and that's my thing. So it becomes part of their summer, of things that they get to, give back for. So thank you for mentioning that. We're grateful for the volunteers in this community.
I'm already signed up.
Yay. Thank you.
Is it the same when you signed up for last year? Are you one of those people?
No, I'm new this year. I'm doing setup on Saturday morning.
Awesome. We'll see you there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nancy. Thanks for being here. With that, if there's no other questions or concerns, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That'll be unanimous. Which will take us to item number 3, which is a motion by the village board to authorize a revocable license and mooring agreement between the Village of Fairport and PBJ Ventures LLC, and for the village manager to execute the agreement. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
By trustee Wojka,
Second.
by trustee Briggs, and I think we have a guest here this evening. Hi,
We do. Hi, welcome.
Thank you for having us today.
please come up and introduce yourselves.
Yes, my name is Brett Hagenbach, and I'm a 24-year resident of Fairport. This is Paul Baccaro. We are the founders of PB&J LLC, starting a company called Tiki Drifters. Paul is a Greece resident, but grew up in the town of Fairport, went to the Fairport High Schools. Brian, I don't know if you can bring up that PowerPoint I just emailed to you or not. We're here to clarify, I guess it was presented by Brian 2 weeks ago at the last board meeting, our intentions to be able to launch our tiki boat out of Erie Canal in the village of Fairport. And there were some questions, and we're here to clarify any of those questions you may have. If you could bring up this one, the PowerPoint. Right, you could, perfect. So again, it's Tiki Drifters, the name of the company. It's founded by Paul and myself, PB&J Ventures. You can go on to the next slide. These are,
It's not peanut butter and jelly?
that's where it came from, actually. We were
It
getting
is,
one
it's
about
like
lunch.
peanut butter
It's
jelly
Paul, Brett, and
time.
Jim, but it's PB&J. We thought it had a nice little ring to it. But this is the tiki boat. It is a custom U.S. Coast Guard compliant tiki boat. It's built off of a catamaran base. It's not a pontoon. So it's much nicer looking aesthetically. Go ahead to the next. It's a smaller boat. It's 23 feet and maximum of 6 paying passengers. We're not putting 12 or 18 or 24 people on this boat. It's small groups. One licensed captain will be myself to start, and a deckhand that will take care of some of the incidentals. You can go on to the next slide. The vessel will be fully insured and, again, operated by a U.S. Coast Guard certified captain. You can see that, there's bar stools around the bar. There's a bathroom in place. It's a 90 horsepower outboard engine. You can go to the next. Our intention is to launch various tours, including 2, 3, and 4 hour boat tours up and down the canal. It's bring your own snacks, bring your own beverages, water, beer, whatever it may be. Family friendly and specialty tours like sunset cruises, things of that nature as well. Okay.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Do you have an idea of the hours of operation that you're planning? Is that later on in the slides?
is.
Then I'll be quiet and let you keep going.
It is. And we're here to answer any questions.
I'll let you keep going.
Okay, great. Various tours. Okay, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. There is a bathroom on board, so most of the tiki boats don't have them. This specific one does, so we don't have to worry about any of that happening into the canal. So good stuff. So we are requesting docking permission from the Village of Fairport for season-long docking, a permanent slip for us for not only docking the boat but loading and unloading. And that is the boat. Obviously, it's got a thatched roof to it. It is, again, 23 foot wide, 8.5 foot wide, 23 foot long, 8.5 foot wide. Built-in anchor and U.S. Coast Guard certified. And what better year to do it than the 200th anniversary of the Erie Canal? And that's one of our logos. We haven't finalized what it's going to be yet. But, if you want to switch over to the other document real quick, this is kind of a rough business plan that we kind of introduce you with things like hours and kind of our intentions. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but just to give you an idea, we're aiming to bring a unique, respectful recreational experience to the canal, to enhance the town's vibrant culture. And in fact, today I was on Facebook and I saw top 5 places where the town or village is booming, and Fairport was number 4 in the country.
Neighborhoods.
So, what neighborhoods, right? What better place? We think there's a high demand for these types of cruises in this area. Obviously, there's a big traffic flow with things like Canal Days, and parking our boat and docking it in front would, I think, do a great job in advertising our boat and our tours. It's different, right? The tours that go on now are the Colonial Belle, where you've got double-decker and you've got 60 people, 80 people on board, and that type of thing. We're small, we're quaint, and we provide kind of a hands-on service touring. If you want to stroll down a little bit, obviously our target market, we can't spell very well, but local Rochester residents seeking unique recreational activities, families, small group, event plans, birthdays, corporate outing, Buffalo Bill Sunday tours, things of that nature. So we've got a limitless opportunity. Age range, we're primarily looking at 21 and over, but we will have family-friendly tours available. And again, operation plans, licensed captain, location along the dock on the Erie Canal in the village, operating May through October, and I do want to stress a maximum of 6 passengers. My license, captain's license, is a U.S. Coast Guard 6-pack license, So I'm not authorized to bring any more than 6 participants, paying participants, on the boat. Again, family-friendly, as well as bring your own snacks and drinks. Again, we're asking for seasonal docking access. You can go ahead and scroll down a little bit more. Our commitment to the community. Safety is our number one concern. Cleanliness, conduct policies. The boat is fully insured based on U.S. Coast Guard recommendations. We will have a zero tolerance policy for disruptive and inappropriate behavior. It's in the waiver that the folks have to sign to be able to join the tour. And we'd like to keep our coordination with you guys open to make sure that everything is going as kosher as needed. Here's the hours operating May through October. Our intention was to do 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., meaning the sunset cruise would be the last one. I think about 9:30 is when that sun goes down, and that's why we extended it to 10 p.m. We are open. That is a variable. If that's not something that you guys are willing to agree upon, that's something that we can certainly negotiate with. And that's pretty much it. Are there any? Oh, wait, go down one more thing. Safety and compliance. We do safety briefings before each tour. Obviously, life jackets is a U.S. Coast Guard mandatory. Bring your own drinks and snacks. Weather protocols. Obviously, safe weather only. It's free cancellation. But if there's a storm brewing or something, they can reschedule to a later date or provide a refund. Keep going down. Oh, our marketing plan, it's a professional website. We've also have some local banners that we'd like to put in some of the establishments with their approval. A launch discount for Fairport residents, and seasonal events to tie in with your approval. So we're asking for your approval for the dock access and the loading and the unloading and in the village on the canal.
I'm going to go through and ask everybody if they have a question or anything like that for you.
Sure.
I'm going to start though.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question about your policy in terms of if the boat is docked, is it likely to see people sitting in the boat alongside, or is it really get on the boat and we're going to go out and we're going to come back and we're going to disembark?
Yeah, it's get on the boat. Get on the
Okay.
boat and go on a tour.
It's not like,
Unless I'm doing work on it or something,
Sure.
then yeah.
and people sit in their boats all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm just asking it as a curious question about your thoughts with regard to the business. That's
The
all.
idea is for tours.
Okay.
And that's what they're paying for. so.
Okay. I'm going to start this in. Heidi, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I think it sounds like a really fun time.
Thank you. We do too.
Adam?
Just background too, by the way. I've been boating pretty much my whole life since I was a teenager. I have a boat now out in Sodus area, and I've had that for 5 years, and I had a boat for 10 years before that. So plenty of experience coming to the ship.
Okay. Adam?
No, thanks for bringing this opportunity into the village. And yeah, sounds like a fun time.
Awesome. I think the village board would probably have to have a tour.
Emily?
So I just have a couple questions.
Yes.
You mentioned snacks and beverages.
Yes.
So talk to me about beverages.
Okay.
Talk to me about alcohol.
Yes, 21 and over. Alcohol will be permitted, but not provided by us. So the tourees, if you will be providing their own. They will be ID'd by the captain. And again, if it gets, we have a clause in the waiver that says if it gets obnoxious or out of control, the tour is canceled immediately and they're brought back to the dock.
So the tiki theme.
Yes.
Kind of. I mean, it does lend itself to sort of a
It-
bar.
it is a
like
bar, and there are
tiki-
bar stools.
That was so. When I first saw this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a floating bar, right? I immediately jumped to, and sorry if I maybe assumed some things here, that there would be maybe the sale of alcohol.
Nope.
So that is not right because that
No, we do not have an alcohol liquor
that
license.
would require additional permitting.
Correct. There's a lot of these franchises located throughout the United States. There's one in Buffalo, there's one in Seneca Lake, and none of them serve alcohol. It's bring your own.
I too am a boater,
Okay.
lifelong. Just updated my boating license
Nice.
because of the new regulations. I do know that, with boat passengers, obviously drinking, there is obviously risk of intoxication, slips, falls, things that could potentially happen that may not happen with a potential, tour that does not serve alcohol.
Sure.
Right, and this would, I'm assuming, require additional light insurance?
Insurance policies, yes. We have,
Okay.
in fact, I put it in the presentation, but then I pulled it out. Do you remember the was it $1 million liability?
$1 million
and-
liability plus the boat insurance and stuff.
And I just want to acknowledge that I think it's a fun idea. I just also recognize that there is an additional liability. I believe that you folks, as well as the partnership that you would be taking on with the village, right, that this is an additional liability that I think both of us would be taking on.
Correct.
And I just want to be clear that, in my opinion, and I believe, in all of the village residents that I have spoken to over the years, that we see the canal as a linear park, so to speak. And this is a space for families to participate in recreation. Since you are a boater, you know that there are low-lying kayaks. It's a very busy stretch of canal waters. We have our Colonial Belle captain, Tammy, here. who's
Hi, Tammy.
So, my initial impression was that, does this fit within that that atmosphere? This is a family recreational linear park, so to speak, the canal. It's the water feature, but also this green space that's, it's different than a typical park, but I see it as such. And so it's really important to me, and I'm sure it's important to the rest of the board that, that is maintained.
Just a quick comment, and I agree with everything you said. first of
Okay,
all.
that makes me feel better.
When we started looking into the business, we were looking at different boats and go that direction because we thought it would be too much, too loud, the ability to get a little obnoxious. We thought 6 was a much more manageable number, and we think that with only 6 passengers, it's much more manageable.
Okay. I think that's it. I would love to, we don't have the actual plan. I don't think we were sent the actual plan.
I just got it when you walked.
Okay.
I was going to present it.
I would love just to, it's, my eyes are bad, and,
Yeah, and I skipped over some stuff too, and yeah.
yeah, I have actually been witness to boating accidents, and I'm super sensitive to it. So, and all have
Do
been.
you boat on the canal?
I do.
Okay.
Not a ton, but I have a little cabin that I
Yeah.
boat on at a lake. But all accidents have been involved with alcohol. Every accident that I've ever seen on the water alcohol has been involved. Not necessarily with the captain,
Yeah.
but when alcohol is on the boat, passengers can be distracting to drivers and captains. I know that 6 is possibly a manageable number. But
Again, I agree. I've seen accidents as well, boating my whole life, and yeah. That's the nice thing about having a captain pilot the boat instead of people renting the boat, is that
Absolutely.
you have a guaranteed
Yeah.
captain that's not going to be drinking alcohol.
you might need a drink after you dock and get them off the boat.
You might be right.
You might need a few. Anyway, okay.
Thank you.
I will stop there.
Any
Tracy-
other questions?
Tracy, do you have any questions?
Just that I am a lifelong boater, married to a Navy boy who is a 1,500 ton. So we've had lots of boating experience and
Yes.
things. So coming at it from just what's been said, the liability of this business to the village as a village government, as well as the impact to the residents. But it can be really super exciting and an asset and a tourism and complement our businesses as long as it's done really well. And it was wonderful for you to come in saying that you do have a federal U.S. six-pack license, because that's mandatory, being
Yes.
this a federal waterway.
Correct.
And I know there's canal permits that you need to have. if
Yeah,
you're-
interestingly enough, I've reached out to the Canal Authority out of Buffalo, which handles Monroe County, and
Well, I got news for you. That lady right there is absolutely the president of the New York Canal
Fantastic.
Tour Boat Association and a incredible wealth of knowledge. So by the time somebody gets back to you from Canal Corp,
Yes.
they're going to put you in touch with Tammy.
All right, Tammy.
And
we're gonna
she's
have a
already worked with other boats in this area
Great.
with the business plan, and you're gonna need these permits, this is what you're gonna need going forward. I mean, a huge resource.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so at the end, I was gonna suggest you really need to, contact Tammy. Because I know from my husband as well, that you'd have to be enrolled in some sort of regular drug program, drug testing, and anyone who's gonna be on the boat's gonna need drug testing. I'm much more comfortable with like the disturbance factor, knowing and seeing the boat. If somebody has a Bluetooth speaker and you guys are just listening to it in your area, I really don't see the impact that it's going to have on the community and blaring by the library and things like that. You seem
Correct.
very sensitive to that.
It's our community as well, and we intend to respect it.
And once you get down, well, you're a boater. I was going to say boaters are an incredibly supportive community to help you. And your other fellow boaters that are down there. Because one of my concerns as this role
Yes.
was if you didn't have someone who knew how to handle boats or crew, it's kind of like our dock master is there, but I didn't want our dock masters to somehow get sucked into crew for your boat every time your boat was coming in and out. But if you have a competent captain who knows how to, you should be able to do it, or if you have crew with you or someone else. But that was a concern for me the dock master just doesn't get to be
We have
your helper every time you come and go.
We have a tentative backup captain who is a retired Webster police officer, was a Webster police officer for 30 years, so, and a good friend of mine. We grew up together, so
Good.
That is the plan at this time.
And I loved it when I looked up your boat. You can leaky on the tiki. It's in all the promotional material, hence the quality of the boat.
There it is.
Because we do have a public bathroom here that is a challenge sometimes.
Correct.
And it's closed a lot and vandalized a lot. And then we do have a private boater bathroom in a rented space that we offer. And I say we, I mean the village. And I was concerned, I have no problem with the crew and yourselves using the boater bathroom, but I really don't want, that key code will get over town so fast.
Yeah.
And
That was one of our concerns, too. The other boats we looked at didn't have a facility, and we immediately scratched it off the list, so.
yeah, and Village Hall is open till 4, Harbor House is open till 9, the library is open, and maybe if only the boater bathroom is a handicap emergency sort of situation, just because it's challenging.
Understandable.
Yep, and our dock master's clean, so it's like.
Good.
Just a quick question. What are you charging for?
That's a good question. We've been doing a lot of research, and we're somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $500 per tour, depending upon the event, the duration of the tour, things of that nature. So
Is when you say tour, is there going to be any historical pieces to this, or
potentially,
Okay.
potentially.
then we have a great town historian?
Oh,
Can
the
you imagine
last-
Bill Perret on our tiki boat?
Wonderful.
The last thing when I was looking through this, and I don't know how it's going to affect your business, but the water level in our part of the canal is at a historic low. I don't know how many feet it is down.
It's about 18 inches.
Do
Right.
we have a dock location in mind for the
Well, if
mooring?
you're in the Hardwell, it doesn't matter where you are. I would be at the opposite end from the Colonial Bell, but that's not my decision to
I
make.
think that Brian is probably working on that with.
What I'm saying for a
briefly discussed.
boater is if we're below level and it looked like between your water line and where people would be stepping in, it might be tricky how many feet are actually,
Up to the concrete.
boarding and unboarding there. Just because it's historically low and it's a challenge. And we've had other little tour boats that went to Palmyra because of the safety concerns of getting on and off the smaller boats.
Yeah, that's something we'll certainly have to address. Our plan was to have a boat ramp for people to walk safely on and off. But if it's that much lower, we might have to get a little creative.
And again, there's Tammy. Reach out to her. She's an awesome resource and will help you with all parts of this.
Wonderful.
Anything else?
Hopefully the village board can get a first tour.
Well, you have to argue with the wives on that one, but I think they've already, maybe second.
I say the wives have to go first because boats are stressful on marriages.
Yes, they are.
But welcome, yes, they are. But thank you, and
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time coming in and listening to us and realizing our concerns were, village liability and our residents first.
Yeah, we probably should have come 2 weeks ago, but at least we made it today, so thank you for having us.
We're glad that you were here today.
And then if we could just get a copy of the,
Brian already sent
Yeah.
it to you.
oh, you are, oh,
I
geez.
said-
He
It's
already
already
sent
in
it
your
to you.
phone.
Oh, my. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, guys.
Are you guys all set?
Yes.
Okay. So taking up item number 3, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. And Brian, you can execute the agreement.
Welcome.
Welcome. All right, that will take us to item number 4, which is a motion to introduce local law number 2. Brian, John, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you a question first before I do the motion.
Yes.
Do you want me to read the local law, or do you want me to read the legislative finding?
You don't need to read any aspect of the law if you don't want to. You can simply make a motion to introduce.
For the title?
Yeah, the title as proposed.
Okay, and then maybe in the discussion, I'll read out the legislative finding, and if anybody has any questions, Jill's here as well today.
Yep.
Okay, so can I have a motion to introduce local law number 2 of 2025 to amend chapter 550 of the Code of the Village of Fairport, Article 3, definitions, and Article 5 miscellaneous regulations, and to set the public hearing for proposed local law number 2 of 2025 for May 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
By trustee Banowski,
Second.
by trustee Mishler. And let me read I'll read the legislative funding. The Village of Fairport, the Fairport Village Board finds and hereby determines the definitions of drive-through is appropriate. Is it supposed to say appropriate? Okay, I'll read the whole thing. In addition, it is appropriate to add drive-through facilities as a principal use and an accessory use to the list of uses are appropriate uses that are specifically prohibited in any zoning in the Village of Fairport. The Fairport Village Board finds the addition of drive-through facilities to the list of uses that are specifically prohibited in any zoning is in keeping with the 2021 comprehensive plan of the Village of Fairport that highlights the desire to be a walkable community, the ability to safely traverse the village by foot and other non-automobile modes of transportation is impacted by the presence of drive-through facilities, as these facilities are designed for and serve automobile traffic. As a result, the Village Board finds that the proposed revisions are in the interest of the Village of Fairport. So this local law is making the statement that we will not approve any businesses to have drive-throughs in the Village of Fairport. With that, do we have any questions or comments? I'll start at this end. Tracy, Emily?
About this adding to that? No, I don't. Adding the drive-throughs to our not acceptable list?
Of local
Yes,
uses.
yes.
Okay. Any questions down here? Okay. Then I guess we're ready to go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Can I do
Yeah.
have a question.
Sure.
And when I was reading through the list in my, I didn't see boat storage in driveways. Wasn't that always on that unacceptable list? Along with campers and unregistered cars and all sorts of everything?
So the code, some of the things that you're talking about recreational vehicles, campers are covered in another section of the code. So we have several sections of the code that cover things that's, in some variation, deal with land use. But they're not always covered directly in the zoning code. So what you're speaking of is covered in a different code.
It's still there
Section.
somewhere.
It's still there somewhere,
Okay.
yep. And the hope is in the updated zoning code that we will pull more of those things together into one code, so that's easier for the public, for staff to understand where those regulations lie, and we're not searching throughout the entire code.
Good, it all makes sense. I just wondered, like, yeah, it's like, do we still have this and that? But that's why we're doing this, kind of pull those into one big umbrella chapter. Get it all together.
Yep.
If I can just add to that, to answer that question as well. The proposed local law as drafted, all this does is sort of add or alter what's already in the code. So we don't list anything except what we are modifying. So that's why you don't see anything in there besides the proposed change. So that way the board understands this is the only thing that is being altered. It's not going to change anything that we have existing.
Thank you.
Correct. So, the document was up here. In your packet, it shows, it's underlined what is being added to the code, so that we're just adding a number and adding the definition.
Yeah, section 550, right?
Correct.
Yep.
I'm good.
Any questions at this end? Okay, then, now, don't go away yet, because I have a quick question, which I know you will know the answer to. So we will be doing seeker with this. And
Correct.
we don't have that in the packet today, right?
Correct.
I didn't see it when I scanned through the packet. But that will be for next time.
Yes, and John or myself will be here to guide you through that.
Okay, that's terrific.
Can I ask one more question
I don't know.
about drive-throughs?
Sure.
Talk to me about the difference between a bank drive-through or is there a difference?
So that's why that line that's added notes it as a principal or an accessory use.
Okay.
So.
Doesn't matter what.
What?
The definition includes it. It says banks.
Okay. So a bank drive-through is.
Because there can be different variations of, right? A bank can have there are, in some instances, communities allow for just an ATM to be on a property. It doesn't also have to have a bank that people go in and out of. And some municipalities say, nope, you're only allowed to have the bank
Physical
that
bank.
doesn't involve any sort of
Traffic.
vehicular traffic.
And so what we're saying with the adoption of this code, if it is approved, that a bank drive-through in the village of Fairport would not be allowed.
Correct.
An unacceptable use.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Do we have bank drive-throughs currently in the village?
We currently do, and we will be treating them as non-conforming uses going forward.
Jill, didn't you believe when your interpretation of the code that maybe those weren't supposed to be permitted when they did? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Correct. So code is fun. Code is different in every municipality. My reading and going through the historic documents of when the drive-throughs were established, so this is 20 plus years ago, is that perhaps at the time they should not have been approved. And so knowing that they are features of the landscape at this point, we've elected to treat them as non-conforming uses moving forward. So when something is established illegally, we could say you have to absolutely remove it. It doesn't comply with any code. We're understanding that an approval was issued, a building permit was issued. They've been on site for numerous years. They can be treated as non-conforming going forward.
So in the lay terms, they're grandfathered in, that they don't have to rip them down. But moving forward, nothing new of
No
that
expansion
sort.
of, if they decide, we want to build a bigger one or a nicer one, that's not an option. So the intent of non-conforming uses, and we've had this conversation before, is they're supposed to go away. So this allows that non-conforming use to continue to live, but once you decide you want to change it a bit, then we have to have a different conversation.
Do you have questions still?
Different than what we've talked about for the future code update in terms of how non-conforming uses will be treated on the residential side.
So let's just say we have a property that is newly being purchased and has like the setup for a drive-through, a potential setup.
that is.
When you
can-
say potential setup, help me out there. Is
Well,
it
it's-
existing?
It would allow for a drive-through and it would very easily be accommodated.
Does it currently exist?
No. So if a property is purchased from here on out and a potential owner wants to put in a drive-through because it's nicely set up to do so, we are not going to allow it.
The avenue, should they wish to pursue it, would be to apply for a use variance. And I always say that the odds of getting a use variance are 0.001.
Right.
You're saying that you want to do a use that the community has said we are not interested in having.
Okay. Perfect. And, all right. Thank you.
Where's the bank drive-through right now?
So it's located at the rear of the property. So there is an entrance off of our landing parking lot.
Okay, that's the only one I could think of. Thank
Yeah.
you.
The big one was ripped down.
off. I was just...
That's okay.
And I'm old and I'm thinking, Evans Bank, I want to think had a drive-through. Believe it or not, between like Evans and Pontillo, I mean, I even think they had. And
There
they
is
had-
currently a walk-up.
but
Yeah.
I wanna
And
think
Bank of
they-
America did have a drive-through as well that was attached to the structure.
That was there forever.
Correct.
Just living in my memories over here a minute.
And there are no other drive-throughs.
There's
Right.
no one currently asking or seeking a special use variance at this point, right? Like we're not.
Again, my interpretation of the code sections that might be an avenue that somebody might want to pursue would not allow for it. The code does not allow for that at this point. The act of putting this in code is to clarify and then extend that to all districts.
Okay. All right. I think
So
this is really
So
proactive.
there won't be a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through behind Quickly's on East Avenue.
or any more bank drive-throughs.
Correct.
We hope.
Well, so
No.
with that said,
No.
does anybody have any more questions for Jill?
No.
John, do you need to add anything?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, because you looked like you had a thought for a second, and I'm like, do you have something you need to add? Okay, with that, can I go ahead and ask for a vote? So all in favor?
On just
Aye.
scheduling the hearing, correct? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Did you have a question for me before you vote? Because I know you mentioned that you had a question for me.
No, I don't have
Okay.
a question for you.
Okay.
I'm clear.
All right, perfect.
As
My
Jill says,
question
code
was-
is fun.
My question was about the seeker. That was what the
Okay, that
question
was
was
it.
about. And we
Okay.
got it all covered.
Perfect. All right, excellent.
All right, I'll try this again. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, that will carry unanimously. So the public hearing for this local law number 2 is now set for May 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m., which should be our May Village Board meeting here in Village Hall. And then we will take up this local law at that meeting. All right, so we're done with that. Let's keep going. Item number 5, a motion by the village board to authorize a professional services agreement between the Village of Fairport and the University of Rochester Medical Faculty Group to provide services for village's Employee Assistance Program, EAP, and authorize Julie M. Domeratz as mayor to execute the agreement.
So moved.
By trustee Banowski.
Second.
By trustee Wojka. Any questions? Go ahead, Tracy.
Why were, in the highlighted version that was sent us, or the version that was sent us was highlighted, and the things were like the number of visits. And it was highlighted 5, 3, 3, and I guess, is that going up or down from where it was, or are we limiting it in some way? Just curious.
No, it was just pointing out what's unique to us for what we've set up with them.
Thank you. That was my question.
Okay, anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That will be unanimous. Moving to item number 6, a motion by the village board to enter into supplemental agreement number 2 to D040761 for the Fairport Main Street Enhancement Project. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Banowski,
Second.
Mishler, she beat you, Heidi. Okay. Megan or Brian, who would like to give a brief summary of what this is?
It just, basically, it's the federal government's insurance that we have a budget for this that we were willing to pay for the project, especially in advance before reimbursement happens, it's a reimbursable grant. And it also talks about should there be any extra costs above and beyond what's been allocated through the grant, that will cover those costs, right? And then we're accepting W. Marticelli federal grants coming through. So it's just required as part of the grant. And it's things that we've already committed to per our budget and adoption of the contract anyway with the contractor.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. Item number 7 is a resolution by the village board authorizing the implementation and funding of the first instance 100% of the federal aid and state Marticelli program, let me sound out this word, program aid eligible costs of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds therefore.
So moved.
By trustee Banowski.
Second, trustee Mishler.
Okay, and want to give a brief synopsis? Real brief?
This just names Megan. Didn't we talk about this?
It's
No,
just,
this is the resolution saying that we have the funds earmarked
Okay.
and that we know we're fronting it.
do I need to read the resolution?
Reimbursement.
John?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I had that bookmarked also. But since you say no, I will not read the resolution. My reading comprehension skills are not so good this night. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. And then item number 8 is a motion by the village board to adopt the fiscal year 2025-2026 general fund budget, sewer fund budget, electric fund budget, and the 2026 through 2035 10-year capital plan.
So moved.
By trustee Banowski.
Second, trustee Wyka?
Any questions? We've all seen this, talked about it, seen it, talked about it. Okay. Then all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. Taking us to 9, which is a resolution authorizing the expenditure from the General Capital Reserve Fund for the 2025-2026 capital expenditure plan.
So moved.
Trustee Mishler?
Second.
Trustee Wojtka? And we've discussed this as well, but does anybody have a question? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. That takes us to item number 10, a resolution authorizing expenditure from the Fire Equipment Capital Reserve Fund for the 2025-2026 capital expenditure plan.
So moved.
Trustee Banowski,
Second, trustee Briggs.
thank you. All in favor, or I'm sorry, anybody have a question about this? Stop me before I keep rolling. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Then that will be unanimous. Item number 11 is a resolution authorizing expenditure from the Fire Rolling Stock Capital Reserve Fund for the 2025-2026 capital expenditure plan.
So moved, trustee Wyka?
Thank you.
Second, trustee Briggs.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. Taking us to 12, a motion by the village board to declare surplus certain village-owned vehicles and equipment and discard them by means of public auction, sealed bids, or private sale from the Department of Public Works, 2012 International with Refuse Compact Body. I'm not reading the VIN number. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
By trustee Mishler,
Second.
by trustee Briggs. I think she beat you out. By a nose. Any questions?
This we replaced, right? We're just getting rid of the old one?
That is correct.
All right.
Our new one has come in. Hasn't been put into fleet yet. It's getting wrapped and some fun stuff, but getting it ready and for maintenance. But yeah, it's ready to go.
Okay.
Yep.
Can we, remember we talked about naming some of our newer vehicles and having fun? We talked about having the community involved in naming some of our newer vehicles.
I think we were talking about that with the snow plows, right?
Yes.
Calling
Oh.
Like Mr.
Yeah.
Snowplow.
Mr.
Frosty.
Frosty.
Frosty the Snuffle.
I don't want us to
Yeah,
lose sight of
perhaps
that.
in
I
the-
thought that was a really great idea.
I would agree with you.
Okay.
And
We can move on. I
ever
just
since
wanted to.
you guys brought that up, I see it kind of everywhere, and I think it's a great idea and some good community involvement we can do. So come early fall, we'll do a little campaign and get some suggestions from folks in the community about what
love
they'd
it.
like to see, and we can
I-
pick them.
I have to share
That'd be cool.
something
I like it.
that Trustee Woika has proposed that has nothing to do with this particular item, but there is out on the internet an excavator that's got big googly eyes that looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and she has proposed that she will go buy the googly eyes if we can put those on the equipment that are working on Main Street. We
I'll
don't
get
need any.
multiple
We don't
sets.
need any board action on that. This is just
No,
discussion.
This is just for funsies. They're just sticky.
If,
Clean 'em off.
if somehow there were googly eyes placed on it overnight, we don't know how it happened.
I'll just put some magnets on it. It'll be fine.
All right, so pretend that we never had this discussion. Any other questions about the compactor? But we definitely have to have naming. Okay. Naming. I think that's a majority vote of the board for naming.
Yeah.
All in favor for item number 12?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That will be unanimous. Okay. Mayor Domeretz to proclaim Friday, April 25th, that's this Friday, 2025, as Arbor Day in the Village of Fairport, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lowering heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city, village, increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business area, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Julie Domeretz, as the mayor of the Village of Fairport, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 25th, 2025, as Arbor Day in the Village of Fairport, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees. Further, recognize the members of the Village of Fairport Volunteer Tree Board for their continuing commitment to Fairport's trees. Can I have a motion? By Trustee Mishler,
So moved.
Second.
by Trustee Banowski. And Trustee Banowski, would you like to describe what the tree board is doing in support of Arbor Day in our village?
Yeah, so what's been great is over the past couple of months, toward the end of last year, the tree board met and decided to work with the students from the garden club at JP to identify a tree to plant along Hulbert Road, which I think is fantastic because if you actually, it's that area by the gym where there are absolutely no trees. So this Friday at 3 p.m., they'll be planting a tree. The students from the garden club and members from the tree board on our DPW will be planting. I think the hole is probably dug by the DPW. But
And
but
those
we'll
are
have
the
a chance
details, Nancy, that I shared that were probably partially wrong. Those are the real details. If you could share those, I invited anybody from the FPMA who would
Yeah.
like to come to please come and attend and support the students in the tree board on.
Yeah, absolutely. Please
Friday.
come on out because I think it's a great chance to, the tree board worked with the students to pick and have their say in what is outside their school.
So-
Where exactly is it? The location?
So the exact location, I'm not sure, but I know it's in the tree lawn that is outside of, that is next to the parking lot that's near the gym. So, when you go in, you vote for school board.
Well, my child is going through there, or I did. My only concern was, because I couldn't really visualize where it was, but you guys have thought this through, that the size of the tree at some point is going to interrupt the sight lines when people turn in and out of that parking lot.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
When they stack all the way up both sides. I don't see that changing. So just to make sure that it's not at some point going to become a visual block.
Right, yeah. There are codes and regulations related to sight lines that also dictate kind of where things can and can't be planted. So, yeah.
I knew you would. That was just my concern about. Right, Heidi? Are you there yet with those cars parking up and down the street and drop off pickups and
Oh, yeah,
circle?
but they
right-
have,
yeah.
you're only allowed to make a right-hand turn from that parking lot for like morning drop-off and afternoon pickup times.
And
So
I
you
know
have to go right.
everybody follows those directions, so
Yes.
yeah. That
Okay.
was my only concern, but other than that, I think it's great, and I knew you guys would have thought about it.
Okay, so with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That resolution for Arbor Day is on the books, or that proclamation, excuse me. Taking us to item number 14, a motion by the village board to accept the February 2025 and March 2025 financial statements for the Village of Fairport and the February 2025 financial statements for Fairport Municipal Commission.
So moved. Trustee
By
Britt?
trustee Briggs,
Second.
by trustee Wojka. Any questions for Megan? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous as well. Item number 15 is a motion by the Village of Fairport to authorize the payment of audited bills. This is happening at this end of the board.
So moved.
By trustee Wojka,
Second,
by trustee Banowski, or otherwise known as Adam.
I have reviewed
Yeah.
the documents and found everything to be in order.
That's terrific.
I've also reviewed the documents and found everything to be in order.
That's terrific as well. Any questions for Adam, Heidi, Megan?
Thank you for reviewing the bills.
Thank you for reviewing the bills as well.
I know one thing we did touch on real quick was normally I would be able to tell you how many tons
yeah.
into, but I didn't see an invoice from them. Okay.
They're changing their pricing.
Maybe we just got a free
They
month.
changed residential pricing, and it was very confusing for residents as well as for the company to get the pricing out correctly.
But I know we usually track between like 2.1 and 2.5 tons. So it's probably going to be somewhere around that number.
Okay?
Thank you.
With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. Item number 16 is a motion by the Village Board to amend previously approved amount of $60,000 to pay health and dental insurance premiums paid in the month of April to $53,046.48.
So moved.
By trustee Mishler,
Second?
by trustee Banowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That'll be unanimous. Item number 17 is a motion by the village board to authorize the clerk treasurer to pay health and dental insurance premiums for the month of May in an initial estimated amount not to exceed $60,000, subject to audit and amending authorization by the village board at their regularly scheduled May meeting.
So moved.
By trustee Banowski.
Second, trustee Briggs.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that takes us to announcements and committee reports. Why don't we start at trustee Briggs?
I'm good.
Okay.
fresh off the press, the partnership has announced the cleanup, the clean sweep. It just came out today. The cleanup will take place starting April 27th and will continue through May 4th. So I think best idea to participate in the cleanup is to go right to their Facebook page is probably the best, right?
And then go to their website and sign up for the newsletter.
Or the newsletter as well, yeah. I attended the OSED meeting yesterday. Great meeting. There was a considerable discussion about the stray cat situation that we have going on in the village. I actually emailed Manager White today. I was hoping we could get that on an agenda to discuss it, to see how we can possibly, the village could possibly partner with OSED to help with the situation. Maybe doing some
We've talked about
public
this before, yeah.
public education, careful messaging, because there's some sensitivity obviously around cats, but a responsibility I think that we have in terms of a potential invasive problem. There's a balance here. So I was hoping that we could get the board to kind of put our heads together to see how we could help OSED with this as well. Part of the problem is taking place in the protected wetlands at Thomas Creek. So it's a protected area. So we can talk further about that. Ramsey and Millennium have also entered an agreement with OSED to use their parking lot for staging. So that was worked out to kind of hold their, what's that soil called? The structural soil. And I think also what they're getting out of this is some clearing that could potentially be used for parking later on. So they're in response to doing this, where there's an added benefit to this. They are having their strategic planning meeting on May 13th at 4:30. What else here? Oh, the partnership. Nancy was there yesterday, and she presented to OSED, just kind of strengthening the ties between all these organizations, the OSED, the partnership, the village, the village board, all of these groups working together. So she did a great presentation. So that's essentially it. I appreciate Megan, and Brian and village staff to work on this budget. I know that we just approved something that has taken months and months and months, and there wasn't a ton of discussion tonight about that, but there was a lot of problem solving and discussion and on the village board's end too. So I just appreciate that, and I'm really pleased that we were able to approve that budget tonight. And I think that residents appreciate the value that we provide them and understand the situation that we are in, and we are all sensitive to that as well. So, what else was there?
Rose Hollow. Were you there for
Yeah,
that?
I didn't get quite. I didn't get the update that I was. I was kind of in and out of the meeting, so I guess I can't speak completely to the Rose Hollow situation. There is a situation going on at Rose Hollow right now. It was purchased by a new owner, so we are keeping close. OSED is keeping close watch over what that owner has in his intent with that new property. Until I think I know more and can speak obviously more accurately to that, unless somebody else has more information about that at the time. Oh yeah, this was.
I'm not taking your stuff. That's your
No, I
problem.
was. There is a benefit for the Fairport Foundation with Bill Tiberio. This is also on social media. I think this would be a great opportunity for residents to give back and also experience the wonder of Bill Tiberio. So he's amazing. So I think that's it. That's a
Okay.
lot, but
Okay.
the construction's going well, right? I mean, I'm on Briggs. I live on Briggs. There was a little bit of a blip this morning, and I think we worked out a good solution. But with the intent to continue construction moving forward today, I think we work things out. So I appreciate the understanding of village residents and with all that we have going on. So
It's challenging when
It
there's
is
this much
challenging.
work going on in the village.
So it's not perfect, but it's at the end of the day, we're gonna have a great looking street and a great looking village. So we can just kind of get through it. That's it. Sorry for talking so much.
It's okay. I'm going to touch base on something from OSED. I went and met this morning with Jen. I'm never going to remember Jen's last name, but she operates the
Section 8 housing?
the Section 8 housing, and she is still being funded. However, it looks like they're going to shut down the HUD offices out of Buffalo, and as long she is today still getting funding from the federal government, and I just told her as soon as it looks like you're not going to get your monthly allocations to let me know, and that we'll do our best to reach out to everybody who can try and push for these allocations to remain, so that there are housing vouchers for our community. I'm going to go through.
Sorry, so I just realized what you said when you said they. Like they're, I was like, oh wow, they're consultant. No, but you mean
What? Buffalo? The
like
HUD,
the-
the
the
HUD
Fed.
office in Buffalo is closing. And Section 8 is funded through HUD and the federal government. And the first week that I was here back in 2020, they need my signature on their forms. So that's why I try and keep a close eye since all of this started with Jen, just to check and make sure that she's still getting her vouchers, so that, and she gets automatic payment of the vouchers, and so far nothing has halted those automatic payments, but I've been just trying to keep a close eye to make sure that nothing changes and that she still gets the allocation for the clients that deal with the HUD office here at OSED.
And as of yesterday, when I asked Jen about HUD, because after I talked
Yeah.
to you, she said she had not heard anything different from HUD.
But it's kind of worrying when the infrastructure is closing down around you. You're
Right.
still getting payments, and I said, then just keep going and doing things the way that you're doing. And as soon as you see anything that tells you something is going to change, to speak up, and we'll start doing whatever we can to bring it to people's attention. But it's so far so good. So I'm going to pass to Adam in just a second, but I wanted to read the village manager's update for streetscape and for the Briggs Avenue and Railroad. So tree removals 423 through 25. So that would be tomorrow through Friday. Removals begin north of Thomas Creek first, and then through to the south end of the project. So that's down close to Church Street. The subcontractor anticipates all tree removals will be completed by Friday, 4/25. So, yes, it is kind of upsetting to have it happen on Arbor Day, but there's going to be more trees than there were today. So,
Perhaps they could get done before the 25th, before Arbor Day. Arbor Day is Friday. Maybe they could get done before.
I think they're just going to have to do whatever they're going to have to do. Infrastructure installation 4/22 through 4/30, so that begins today, going through next week. DeLand Park A to Thomas Creek, west side of the road, tree pit excavation and installation of structural soils, pending review and approval from FMC, conduit and box pull installation. So that's the electrical work that has to be done. These are all on the west side, right, Brian?
That is correct.
For the tree removal, is that still all on the west side, or is that both sides?
All of it, everything.
Both sides, okay.
Yeah, on Main Street, yeah.
All right. Finished treatments 4/28 through 5/2, DeLand Park A to Thomas Creek, west side of the road. So during that time period, that's next week, granite curb adjustments and replacements, concrete sidewalk installation. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add, since this came out, yesterday afternoon, and things change nonstop?
They have changed 12 times since then. I do not, and we've had some communications with all of the contractors, whether it be DOT or not, about, you know, a little more detailed information about what we can expect in front of certain properties. It's impossible for someone to say, we'll be there on that day, but we're got to get a little more defined, I think, than what we received today. And the only reason we got it today, because I said I have a board meeting tonight, the board's going to ask about it, and I'm going to have a whole lot of nothing, right? So we're working through some of these, I think, expectation challenges. We've talked a little bit about this, and I think we're working them out. It's
And
just a little bit of a
I
challenge.
made a point when I was at the FPMA meeting, and I mentioned it to you before we started this meeting, but I'll say it right now to get on the record, that tomorrow morning I will ask our team to try and push New York State DOT to review the traffic light settings for High Street at Turk Hill at Church Street, the one that's here on Main Street, and this is not a problem because there's no traffic here, but all of those outside, maybe North Main Street at Whitney Road, just because that circular trip around the village is starting to become kind of crazy, and they can't tell what's going to happen before they start the project, but now that the project is underway, if we can convince them to go out and review those traffic light settings so that we can try and minimize the stacking that's happening, because it's happening on the east side of the village, but it's also happening on the west side of the village on Church Street and all of those. So we'll deal with that tomorrow, but I just wanted to make it clear that we will do our best to get New York State DOT to review those light settings as much as possible. Last thing, and then I promise I'll send it along to you. Briggs and Railroad Street construction forecast, milling and form installation on Briggs Ave on the east side and Railroad Street on the south side. I saw them this afternoon working on digging out the south side of Railroad Street, and I know Emily's been firsthand viewing of what's going on the east side of Briggs Ave. The milling and form installation for Briggs Ave on the west side and Railroad Street on the north side is scheduled for next week, 4/28 and 4/29. Concrete gutter installation on the west side is 4/29 through 4/30. And I didn't say this, the gutter installation on Briggs Ave east side and Railroad Street is this week, Wednesday and Thursday. So hopefully they will have the east side back under control by Friday. Road preparation, drive lane milling on Briggs Avenue and Railroad Street will happen May 1st and May 2nd. Paving preparation, Briggs Avenue and Railroad Street is May 5th through May 16th. Paving on Briggs Avenue and Railroad Street currently scheduled for May 19th and May 20th. And then select sidewalk replacement, driveway apron replacements, and final restoration is TBD, but Brian said that they're moving along pretty quickly, so it may be sooner rather than later. And also, when I was at the FPMA meeting, I thanked the town of Perrington for any assistance that they're helping us with any of these paving projects, that it's great to have partners that are helping us along with all of these, because there's just a lot. And there will be more all summer long. With that, I'm going to pass things along to you, Adam, and then Heidi, and then we'll come back. I have a motion, one more motion for an executive session. Go.
Yeah, sure. So actually, one of the things we can kind of follow up on with the approval of the budget within there is maintenance for the Copper Beach. That's by the Veterans Memorial. So right now it's a little stressed, and so approving the budget means we're gonna have some, an arborist take a look at it, see what we can do some aeration of the soil around, make sure that the roots are healthy. But it's also getting older, so that's something we just have to keep an eye on. We'll keep it as happy and healthy as long as we can. So we got that going on. They're going to be continuing to update and review the tree code. Their next meeting will be September 24th at 6 p.m. I think that's all the key highlights we got here. Yeah.
I actually don't have anything. This?
Yeah.
Oh, the Sip and Shop for the Village of Fairport is going to be May 8th from 4 to 8 p.m. So it's a great time for, excuse me, getting ready for moms, dads, and grads. You can walk around the village, pop into a bunch of local businesses for refreshments, specials, and prizes, and a lot of fun. And it's going to be really easy to park and walk or grab a lift from our local golf cart trolley. So, yeah.
While Main Street has a blockage to traffic, all of our merchants are open for business and you can park and walk. And I forgot one more thing. At our next work session meeting, members of the Public Arts Committee will be here to cover an installation that's going to happen in the village, as well as their plans for this next coming year. So I'm excited that that the Public Art Committee is going to be here to talk about those things with the village board and share what's been going on. Yes, ma'am.
Before we close, can I just bring up one more thing?
Sure.
I don't mean to be difficult, but I'm bothered by this. I don't know if there's anything we can do, but I really do not want to see trees on our main street being taken down on Arbor Day. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with the perception of this and the message that it's potentially sending to our residents. I understand that we have to take these trees down. It's hard enough taking them down any day of the week, any day of the year. It's especially difficult to take them down on Arbor Day. And I just can't believe that there isn't some sort of adjustment to the schedule to not have this done on the 25th. It's pretty hypocritical. I mean, you just read a...
But if we don't take them down, we can't plant more trees.
I understand, but is there anything that can be done to adjust the schedule so that it's not actually happening on Arbor Day?
Brian can ask, but whatever they're
Sitting
doing
here
is
right
what
now,
they're doing.
I can't speak to that. I got the notification. I sent it to you guys right this afternoon, and we knew it was coming, and they were going to do the work sometime this week. I can speak with
I think it's worth just...
Jason tomorrow and see what they can do. I'll speak with them and see what we can do.
we know that this is difficult for residents. We knew going into this was going to be hard. Residents seeing this, and I think that it just adding to the sensitivity of it being on Arbor Day is just adding to the insensitivity of it. And I understand that there's a timeline. And there's probably just they're just busy getting the work done, and I get it. And there's probably just like we're in it, we're doing it, and there's not probably a lot of thought being put into the actual days that it's happening, and it just fell. It fell when it did. But if there's anything that we can do, I would support that. One day we don't cut down trees, and actually it's significant. It actually makes a statement that we are honoring this day for all the reasons that Mayor Domeratz read earlier.
So I'll ask Village Manager White will talk to them and see if there's anything that we can do to alter the schedule as best as they can. But
I would appreciate just an ask.
I will. It'll be
Just an
brought up
ask.
in tomorrow morning's meeting.
Okay, I would
Okay.
appreciate
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. All right. Anything else there?
I speak for the trees.
All right. So with that, I'd like to ask for a motion by the Village Board of the Village of Fairport to enter into executive session to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property.
So moved.
By Trustee Briggs,
Second.
by Trustee Mishler, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. With that, if there's anybody who's viewing the meeting or anybody who's here in the audience, our upcoming Village Board work session meeting is April 28th, 2025 at 6 p.m. The next Village Board meeting is Monday, May 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. The meetings are held here in Village Hall at 31 Main Street, Fairport, New York, on the second floor boardroom. We will not be conducting any more business after the executive session, so our broadcast will end at this point. We'll go to executive session, conduct our business, and then come out and adjourn the meeting. So please don't feel like you're going to miss anything if either one ends. Thank you for being here. Have a great evening. Jill, thank you for being here. With that, we're going to go enter executive session.